Well, good morning, everybody. Paul here from Warden's Farm, NC Beekeeping. It is the 22nd of July, and it's 9:30 in the morning. We're sitting at about 89 degrees, which is a nice break from what we've been having. It's 89% humidity, but we are in a high threat day, as they call it, because we got storms coming in later this afternoon with a flood warning out there. So we'll see what happens. Yesterday was a great day. I celebrated 42 years of marriage with my wife, Kathy, and we had a really fun day out yesterday where we spent time together, went out to eat, and I was in the bees only for a little bit in the morning just to start adding some feeders inside. One of the things I want to talk to you all about today is a few years back, I made a list of things about protecting your hive during the dearth. And these are some of the things that this time of year, with summer in here, the dearth is here, there's less nectar out there, a little bit of pollen, not much, but the bees are really starting to go into protecting their hives. So some of the things that we need to cover when the dearth is here are things that I want to share with you. I'm going to go over them here real quick, and then we're going to go jump in the hives. Some of the things we're going to do today, some of them we're not. Right off the bat, some of the first things are immediate actions to protect your hives. The first thing that you want to do is reduce your entrances. Why is that? Because robbings, if it hasn't begun already, it will soon enough. So you want to reduce your entrances down to the smallest entrance. That way your guard bees can go ahead and help protect your hive a little better. One of the other things we need to do is install robbing screens, because even though your entrances are reduced, them guard bees can get overtaken if other bees decide that they want to start robbing your hive. And one of the things I did is I missed some signs that we had robbing coming on, and I thought, they'll get over it and move on. Well, I was wrong. I ended up losing two of my late swarms, which were pretty small, but I was trying to nurse them back up there. The queens were doing good, but by nursing them, the smell of the sugar water got out into the air and the robbing began, and it happened when I wasn't out by the hives. One happened down at Cypress Creek Apiary and one happened here. Lessons learned again. I got to learn to start putting robbing screens on, especially the lighter hives, sooner than later, if you know what I mean. Another thing is you want to keep your inspections short. The longer you have them open, the more your bees are going to smell what's inside the hives and the robbing will begin. They'll get into a frenzy, and that's why you want to keep them short. And last, avoid exposing any of your honey. And how do you do that? You keep the inner cover on the mediums. And when you take them off, if you got to get down into your hives, cover them and cover them quickly. And that way you put them inside your outer cover that's turned upside down. You stick them inside, put a cover on it. And what I do is I carry an extra cover. I tape over the hole and I put it right on top of them. And I stack them one on top of the other if I have more than one. So those are some of the immediate things that you can do to protect yourself from robbing during the dearth. And now some of the other strategies that I got is, one is feeding. This time of year, if you're going to start feeding, you only have an option of two types of feeders, either your top feeder or your bottom feeder, or inside the hive feeder rather. And you got to have a deep on to use the inside feeder, because they usually are made just for deeps. Or you got the top bar feeder. I think it's a top bar feeder. Yeah, top feeders. Your top feeders, I really don't like them. I've used them in the past. Too many bees drown, and more drown in a top feeder that I've come across than have died in the inside feeder. And you don't want to put a lot of sugar water in them right now anyways. The temperatures are hot, it'll ferment your sugar water more quickly. So I put a half a gallon inside the hive. That way the smell of it doesn't get out, and if it does, hopefully the hives are strong enough and have on robbing screens, and the entrance is reduced to help stop any type of robbing. You want to refill them early in the morning or at dusk. That way the bees are not flying as much. And one of the things that I do with the inside feeder is you can take your hive tool, you can crack that hive, slide it over just enough to expose the hole on the inside feeder, pour in your half gallon of sugar water and close it up. And I put a half a gallon in probably once a week, just enough to keep the bees going. But if you have a larger colony, you got to put more because the bees will use it much quicker. That's something that you're going to have to figure out for yourself. My large colonies, I still only put a half a gallon in there, but I'll go back more frequent to go ahead and get them fed where it won't go bad either. One of the next things I got here is keep feeding consistent. Sporadic feeding will still cause stress on your hives, but if you feed them regularly, then you can help mitigate that. And watch your brood and brood nest. If it's starting to shrink and you're not getting as much brood, you might want to think about another type of feeding, which is a pollen patty. But you got small hive beetles this time of year that will definitely get into your patties and lay eggs in them, and you'll end up getting the little maggot looking things from when they hatch, and it just becomes a nightmare. It can overtake your hive very quickly. So you want to build yourself a pollen patty screen holder. I make them out of 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, or maybe it's 1/8 inch. I'll have to look in my notes. It's probably 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch strips of wood, and I put a screen over them strips of wood. It's a little square, and I put a small piece of pollen patty on it that the bees will consume. They can get under it and on top of it and on the sides of it, and that way they can stop any small hive beetles from getting into it. And even if they do get into it, by going into your hives regularly, you can see if the patty's been affected, get it out of the hive, and put it in a new one. And then that way you can keep the feeding going, which will hopefully bring up your brood size inside your hive. Heat management is another thing, which is critical here in North Carolina because we've been in hot days. We've been in heat index temperatures well over 105, 110, 115. One day we even got to 130 heat index. 100 outside, heat index, high humidity. It's not good for the bees. The bees can struggle in that. So you got to make sure that your bees have water available. I have a creek behind my apiary here, and out at Cypress Creek, I have a water feeding station in 4 different areas. You want to avoid opening your hives during the peak of the day, the hottest temperatures, early in the morning, late in the afternoon. And you got to make sure you got enough ventilation in there. A lot of people like using solid bottom boards, but I have solid and I have screen bottom boards. What's good about the screen bottom boards is when the bees chase the small hive beetles and the larvae out of the hive, it can fall on the bottom screen and they can push them down, chase them through the screen, they fall on the ground. And one of the things I do around my bee apiary is I put Grub-X on the ground around my beehives. And that's because you want to kill any small hive beetles that might get into your soil. Another thing you want to do is monitor the health of your colony. Check your brood pattern, watch for sudden drops in activity, and track the weight of your hive. If it's getting light, you need to feed, and you need to feed immediately. Some long-term strategies to help during the dearth is you can plant different types of flowers. mountain mint, sunflowers. Here I like planting buckwheat. I've got some planted out in the front yard around the flower beds out there. My garden is starting to go down, so in order to keep the soil covered, I'll be planting buckwheat in there. It produces fast, and the flowers come out, and the bees can use that for getting some nectar out of there. You want to keep notes too on when they bloom, how long it takes to bloom. That way you know when to start planting your different types of flowers. And how do you know when the dearth is ending? Foragers return with visible nectar and pollen. Your temperatures are getting lower. Brood production increases and comb building resumes. Now, if you're feeding 1-to-1 sugar water, your comb building may resume anyways. So here, because of the heat, I continue to feed 1-to-1 sugar water until November. November is when I'll switch over to 2-to-1, but not this time of year. So enough of me jabbing. I want to just remind y'all, if you like the channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button. It helps me out tremendously when y'all hit the like button. So all we're going to do today is we're going to install some feeders into the hives that don't have them. That's internal feeders. I've been doing it little by little. The hives down the hill got it. A couple hives that were struggling have got it, but now I'm going to get into the bigger hives. I might add a couple of queen excluders to keep the queen out from laying in the top mediums. That way they can get backfilled and not have any brood in it. And that will force the queen to move down because she's moved up into some of the top mediums. So let's go jump into this. So you can see here at hive 17, there's no longer a hive there. That was the small one that got robbed out that I was telling you about earlier. But right now, we are getting ready to go into 18 to add a feeder, 19 to add a feeder, and in 20, we got to add a feeder as well. Then we're going to put a robbing screen on all 3 of these hives to help protect them. Maybe not on number 19 because it's strong, but we got to still take a look at it real quick. We're going to go through these pretty quick. That way we can get in, get out without getting the bees too crazy. You can see here I have a feeder stage, one on all the hives, and I got a gallon of sugar water, so I put it in, add a half a gallon, shut it up. They got everything propolis down really good right now. Give them a little smoke, let it sit there a second. And then let's get in here and see what's going on. There is nothing going on in this top super. I can see that. I hear very little bees. Hopefully this one wasn't robbed out as well, but this is coming off. Yeah, we got bees, but not many. So that super is coming off. Since the bees are here, we're gonna remove this outside frame here. We're gonna slide everything over. I can tell you right now, they have very little food, so I'm getting in here just in time. This will help the colony big time. I want to see what's going on a couple of the frames here, if anything. Very little brood. There's some, so that's good. But the queen is struggling. So we'll add a pollen patty onto this one, not today, but on another day, because all I'm trying to do is get these feeders in, get them fed, close them up, so that no robbing begins. And we'll take this. We're going to nurse this colony back to health. Give them a half a gallon of sugar water, then we're going to close them up. Hopefully it'll get in there and they'll find it. And I can see already the bees have gone right to the sugar water. So now we're going to close these girls up. The super is not going back on because we got to build this hive. And that's all that I want to do. And I'm going to take the frame I took out and these others and move them away from the beehives so I can make sure that robbing doesn't begin. So since this hive is struggling, we're going to put the Bee Smart robbing screen on in the front. The bees will figure out which way they got to come. And by putting it on there, they'll figure out that they got to come through the top. I got the bottom closed just to make sure that no robbing bees will come into it. And these are hard to get in there sometimes. Some bee boxes are good to get them in. Some you got to struggle a little bit. So when you get the top done, and they come with these thumbtacks, and if they break, no big deal, because you can always go back and buy some at your local hardware store. So you can see already the bees have already started figuring out how to come and go out of the hive just by leaving this here. That will stop any robbers from getting into it. But the bees that belong in the hive will figure it out how to get in there. So now we'll come down to hive 20. Oh man, they got that sealed. There we go. Little bit of quick smoke. Now let's get in there. Well, this hive is looking better already. A lot of bees on it, but we're gonna go ahead. We're just adding the feeder. So we're gonna break this hive open, pull out a deep frame, and like I said, place there we go. This doesn't have good handles, so I can't do what I like to do by putting it inside. But this way I can let the bees feel some smoke, chase them down. I like putting the feeders all on the left side this year. Last year was the right. This year I'm going to put it on the left. Now this frame is all brood, so I can't use that frame. So since it's brood, we're going to come over here on this side. And this one's a good candidate to come out because you can see there's nothing on it. So we'll just shake the bees off. We'll grab our feeder, slide a frame over, just enough to get the feeder in. Just like that. Grab our nectar, which is 1-to-1 sugar water, and we're going to give them some. Now this hive is got plenty more bees than the other one had. Gloves are sweating, so the bees will be able to sting through it real easy now. And so we're just going to give them some sugar water. That way they get a little bit of food to maintain them. Dump some sugar water on top. And put the medium back on. Like always, start crooked, keeping the weight off. Slide it over. Hopefully you kill no bees. by doing it that way. I'm gonna look inside this one just because I'm curious what they got going on here. Wow, look at all these bees. So because this hive is so full, I am only adding this on to help them regulate the heat inside this hive. That way the bees can spread out a little more. And since I'll be feeding them, hopefully they'll be filling up everything. Any hives that I think have enough food on them now to harvest, I may add a queen excluder on them, and that will help them. And I'll explain that in a little bit. So let's get these bees down. Whew. A lot of bees. And as you can see, they all went down already. So that makes it really easy for this part. Now we can add them bees down. Let's chase them in or out. That way they all go in. Go nice and easy. In there. Now that's on. We will grab our entrance reducer. And because there's so many bees, we're going to go down to the medium hole on this. Sorry, didn't want to do that to you. You left me no choice. We'll raise up this side of the hive and push this side in. Come back to this side one more time. There. And we're going to leave that just like that. Robbing screen on this because this hive has a ton of bees. Look at this, gold pollen. So they're still bringing in pollen, which is good. Okay, so we got 3 hives done. We're going to write our notes here just to get them on. So 722, feeder added. Definitely queen right. An excluder. And also a robbing screen. Next hive. 722, feeder. Reduced it by 1. And that's good. And over here, 722, feeder, queen right. Good. Yeah, this one's queen right too. And that's it for these. So that's all we can do today, folks. I'm drenched. We did add feeders on 3 hives. We added a bunch of robbing screens on a bunch of hives. Them 3 down there, right there, those 3 right here. Those 3 I gotta find the entrance reducers in the bee shed, and then I'll bring them out tomorrow and do that. We'll add feeders into them as well, and we'll go from there. Paul from Warden's Farm, thank you for watching. I hope this helps you learn a little bit. I hope it gives you some ideas in your apiary. Go ahead and hit the like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel. and we'll see you on the next one. And don't forget to hit the bell. It'll tell you when I have a new video coming out. Take care. God bless.